That's a joke that not a lot of people would have the cojones to make. Everything between cringe and awkward to brilliant and genius. Certainly not everybody was happy. I have a hard time finding the ESPYs to be watchable, but Shane Gillis got my attention. He went after everybody. Says the things that other comedians won't say. That got a bigger chair than just about anything else that he was saying. Shane Gillis hosting the ESPY Awards. Oh man, the ESPYs, which I'm sorry, I have a hard time finding the ESPYs to be watchable. But Shane Gillis got my attention. Last night, coming out doing a 10-minute monologue that has been described as everything between cringe and awkward to brilliant and genius, all points in between. I personally enjoyed the hell out of it. Shane Gillis on stage with a room full of celebrities and high-profile athletes who are quite full of themselves, just taking the piss out of everybody. And I was here for it. A lot of good stuff there from Shane Gillis. And look, of course, he took aim at some of the subjects that are sacred cows for some people, such as the WNBA. You're not supposed to make fun of the WNBA. He went after everybody. He went after Bill Belichick. He was referencing Trump. He was referencing Jeffrey Epstein. The thing that you have to love about Shane Gillis, if you like him, and he's my favorite current comedian, other than Dave Chappelle. I think he's the best young comic stand-up that we have going in America today. And to give him a microphone and put him on stage in front of a worldwide audience with a lot of people in the room that he had the ability to take aim at, I found it to be very compelling and very funny. Let's get to what he said about the WNBA. Some of his best material here. And rather than me tell you about it, let's go to the tape.
When Caitlin Clark retires from the WNBA, she's going to work at a Waffle House so she can continue doing what she loves most, fist fighting black women.
Well, hey now, that's a joke that not a lot of people would have the cojones to make. But what I love about Shane Gillis is he says the things that other comedians won't say. And can you believe that Saturday Night Live dropped the bag with him as badly as they did? He was going to be an SNL cast member. Remember that? But he made some comments on a podcast that, oh my God, the Pearl Clutchers came out. He got buried by people who did not want him to get that gig because he's the guy that you just saw right there on that tape. And now he's a bigger star than anybody on Saturday Night Live. You could take the entire Saturday Night Live cast, combine them together probably, and their star power. Maybe apologies to Kenan Thompson. But the star power just isn't there. Saturday Night Live lost the plot on what is truly funny a long time ago. But that wasn't it. That wasn't my favorite joke. That was a good joke. And that was a joke that a lot of comics wouldn't have the stones to make. But my favorite joke that he made came later when he talked about a certain WNBA All-Star. Let's listen.
Four-time WNBA All-Star Brittany Hicks is here. Give it up for Brittany, everybody. I'm joking around. That's my friend's wife. I knew none of you knew WNBA players. That's crazy. You can clap for that.
Best part of that is if you were watching, that got a bigger chair than just about anything else that he was saying. Because, we've all got to stand up and applaud the WNBA All-Star who turned out just to be his friend's wife. Nobody there fucking knows. How many WNBA players can anybody in that room name?
I thought that was
Players
KJP, Ricky.
Are the only ones. Well, why we got to drag her into this?
It's just what I thought when I saw it. I thought it was her when they pan to it.
Well, a lot of people in that room thought that she was a 4-time WNBA All-Star, and point proven right there. She got the greatest applause among a lot of other things that he had to say for being his friend's wife. But you say hey, look, Ron, if you went around and told people you were a 4-time WNBA All-Star, maybe you would get further in the world as well, and people would love you even more than they already do. He also threw in a little tribute to Norm Macdonald as an Easter egg for some of us who remember the gig, looking at Travis Hunter calling back to something that Norm Macdonald did years ago in reference to Charles Woodson, telling him that you're the first defensive player to win the Heisman. Of course, Travis Hunter, the first two-way player to win the Heisman, saying to him, you achieved an incredible thing. You won the Heisman Trophy. Nobody can ever take that away from you unless you murder your ex-wife and one of her friends, in which case they actually can come and take it away from you. And a lot of people may not have remembered that, but that is a Norm Macdonald joke. And so Norm Macdonald may be the funniest guy who ever lived as far as I'm concerned. So nice to see Shane calling back to Norm. Certainly not everybody was happy. I'm giving Shane 5 stars for this. But Sarah Spain wants to talk to the manager. She's online. Well, she was offended by it. Because, well, he made jokes about women. And how dare you, says Sarah Spain, who can't even spell OutKick, by the way. Remember? OutKick has an asterisk in it when she spells it because it's, the 7 dirty words, George Carlin. Shit, piss. I'm going to get bleeped for that. Sarah Spain thinks there's 8 dirty words, and the 8th one is OutKick. She's probably a lot of fun at parties, I would imagine. Caitlin Clark, in addition to being the subject of a little bit of humor in Los Angeles last night, was on the bench for a 21-point loss that the Indiana Fever suffered to the New York Liberty. She did win the ESPY for Best WNBA Player, however. Look at that. She gets recognized when she goes outside of the league. Is she the best WNBA player? No, she's really not. But, it's a popularity contest. The ESPYs it's a popularity contest. She's the most popular player in the WNBA by far. I said Shane Gillis is more popular than the SNL cast combined. Caitlin Clark is more popular than the rest of the WNBA combined. But she's not the best player in the league yet. Now, her participation in WNBA All-Star Weekend coming up in Indianapolis, she is scheduled to be in the WNBA three-point contest, as well as obviously being the biggest star in the game itself. She's questionable at this point after aggravating a groin injury. We don't know if we're going to see Caitlin Clark this weekend in Indianapolis or not. I mean, we'll see her, but whether or not she's going to be on the court remains to be seen. But one thing that is going to be on the court that we can guarantee you, oh, good God, I just don't even know what to say about this. We're going to have the AT&T 4-point shot in the WNBA All-Star Game. Have a look at this. There are going to be 4 4-point shot circles. Oh my God. 2 on each side of the court, designated as the AT&T 4-point shot zone. I said yesterday that this was the Get Off My Lawn show after watching the Major League Baseball All-Star Game end in a home run derby. My buddy sent me a message and he said, you're not going to like this. You're not going to like how they're ending the MLB All-Star Game. And I said, I don't like it, but it's just the All-Star Game. The thing that worries me is it's going to give them ideas for the actual regular season. And that same buddy, Pete Treadwell, who was on the program earlier this week, sent me a text last night talking about how some players loved it and how Major League Baseball players think it would be just great if they incorporated it into the game fully, not just in the All-Star game. So this, you can look at it and say, this is a silly gimmick. This is something to generate interest in an event that previously has been dead in the water before Caitlin Clark arrived in the league. The thing that worries me is if people like it, maybe it's coming to the WNBA, and maybe if it's in the WNBA for a while, it ends up in the NBA. God help us all. The 4-point shot may be in the future of professional basketball. We'll get our first look at it in an NBA or WNBA sanctioned event this weekend in Indianapolis. I love the Montreal Expos. People ask me, why do you love the Montreal Expos so much? And I tell them, Gary Carter, Tim Raines, Andre Dawson, Al Oliver, Steve Rogers. But it really goes back to seeing the Montreal Expos at Riverfront Stadium when I was a kid and they played O Canada before the game. And I thought it was the most exotic fucking thing this kid from Horse Cave, Kentucky had ever seen. Plus the pinwheel helmets, the pinwheel cap. Those uniforms, the road blues. I fell in love with it. Montreal got screwed, my friends. They got royally screwed. No games scheduled in baseball for the Montreal Expos X account yesterday. And they said, this is how we felt for the last 7,591 days. And even though I'm not from Canada, I've only been to Montreal once. Of course, I went to Olympic Stadium. Why the fuck do you think I went there? I feel their pain. And every year, I get a little more nostalgic for the days when we had the Montreal Expos. Major League Baseball, however, is doing pretty well. All-Star game ratings up. In fact, attendance has grown in Major League Baseball by 11% in the last 3 years. Over 71 million people watching the All-Star game. And people like what they saw. You got old guys like me who look at it and say, we used 24 pitchers in 9 innings, and the game ended 6-6. And we had a home run derby to finish the game. What the fuck is this shit? But there's the reminder that I'm over 50 years old, and the people that MLB is trying to reach, they're reaching them. And as always, we have to be aware it's a business. And business is good right now for Major League Baseball. The changes that they've made to the game, speeding the game up, has probably been the number one factor that has improved interest in Major League Baseball. They're actually getting games done consistently well under 3 hours, which seemed fucking impossible as recently as just a few short years ago. Perhaps ratings would continue to grow even higher if we put New York Mets superstar Pete Alonso in charge of things. He's got an idea that, well, the get off my lawn crowd, folks such as myself, maybe we could get behind this one. Let's listen to Pete.
If there's one rule I could change, so I don't think people should get ejected after charging them out or fighting. So I think it should be hockey style. So no teams, no nothing, because that's when people can seriously get hurt. So I think there's a rule. If you want to go out and charge them out, then you should be able to. But if the pitcher or hitter or whoever charges, and if they don't want to fight, they take a knee. And then they don't have to fight. But if someone charges the mound, it's 1v1 hockey style, and then that's it. And then the loser has to leave. The winner of the fight stays in the game. Or if someone goes out, take a knee, then it's whatever, and then you both go your separate ways. That's what I should change about the game.
My favorite part of that is he's given that a lot of thought. That's not like an off-the-cuff answer. He's really thought, he's got all the parameters. You can take a knee, but if this happens, that has to happen. Look, fighting used to be a thing. You remember when Robin Ventura charged the mound against Nolan Ryan? He fucked around and found out. As I tweeted just this morning, in 1987, Robin Ventura set an NCAA record by getting a hit in 57 straight games. And in 1993, Nolan Ryan set a major league record by hitting Robin Ventura 57 straight times in one game. Advantage Nolan Ryan. Nolan Ryan was about 46 years old, I believe, at the time of that. Old man strength is what we used to call it. And John Jones has old man strength. Is it too soon to call John Jones an old man? John Jones, I believe, is 38 years old. Many consider him the greatest ever in mixed martial arts, the greatest ever within the UFC. And he recently retired. He gave up his undisputed heavyweight championship, saying that he didn't have anything else to prove. However, he may be reconsidering. Let's listen to John Jones.
I was retired. I felt like I was at a place where I've done it all in the MMA space, and felt like there wasn't too many more challenges for me, and I just wanted to do something more than championships and money. And Donald Trump mentioned that he wanted to have a fight at the White House Garden, and that just seems like such a huge opportunity. I'm a very proud American. I have a lot of close friends that are in the military, and this is my act of I can't call it service, but just to be able to entertain the country and the world at this level at the White House, it just means the world to me. So I'm back.
There hasn't been a big fight at the White House since Hunter Biden got hopped up on cocaine and had to be put in a headlock by Kamala Harris. I don't fucking know. Look, Trump has a lot of ideas, man. Okay, let's have a fight. It'll be the best fight ever at the White House. All I can say is, if you follow UFC at all, even if you're a casual, if that fight happens, it needs to be against Tom Aspinall. Period. I don't want to see John Jones fight on the White House grounds unless he's fighting Tom Aspinall. Okay? Maybe they should invite this kid to the White House. By the way, this is American fuck right here. Look at that. Maybe there is hope for the next generation after all. Look at that. Evel Knievel the third out there. Look at that. That's what you do in a neighborhood. Look at everybody lined up right there. Like it's a fucking parade. Kid, whoever you are, I don't know where you're from. I don't know what your name is, but you keep being you. You keep being you. You are bringing 1970s America energy to modern times, and by God, we need it. There was a lot of this kind of energy back in the 1970s, however. Take a look at this one. There are so many photos of kids trying ill-advised, Evel Knievel-inspired bike jumps that I have uncovered in my decade plus being the Super 70 sports guy. And this is one of the greatest ones. Let's take a look at this thing again. I want to count how many bikes this kid's about to jump. Oh my God, I can't even count them. I mean, we're up into double figures, aren't we? There's got to be at least a dozen there. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, what are we pushing? We're at least a dozen bikes there, it seems to me. He's wearing a helmet, however, so yeah, he was a little bit of a pussy by 1970 standards, however, going for the helmet. Most of the jump photography that I am familiar with from the era did not involve having a helmet. All right, so look, Donald Trump. Let's see, what have we won? The Epstein files are no longer important. I'm not even. You know what? My name's Paul, and that's between y'all. I'll let other people argue about this. This is the big thing. But people are saying, well, he's trying to take people's minds off of that. Why is he going after a washed-up celebrity like Rosie O'Donnell, an expatriate, saying that he's going to take away her citizenship? He can't do that. He can put a fight, perhaps, on at the White House, as bizarre as that sounds, and he's claiming now that he's done what might have been considered the impossible, that he has convinced the Coca-Cola company to eliminate high fructose corn syrup from its product in the United States of America in favor of real cane sugar. Here is the truth that he truthed out recently, just yesterday, in fact, yesterday afternoon. He said, I've been speaking to Coca-Cola about using real cane sugar in Coke in the United States, and they have agreed to do so. I'd like to thank all of those in authority at Coca-Cola. This will be a very good move by them. You'll see it's just better. Anybody who's had a Mexican Coke knows that he's not kidding. It is better. Now, whether or not it actually happens, the thing that I love is like Trump will talk to somebody about something in private and then he'll just announce it. Do you think Coca-Cola knew that that was coming? They did issue a statement, but it was very ambiguous. They didn't confirm and say that it's true. I think sometimes Trump thinks that if he says something publicly about a company or about a person, they're just going to have to go along with it. And I don't know if that worked. Do you think that works for other people? I think it actually works for Donald Trump a lot of the time. So I'm going to try it. I was just, Ronnie, listen here. I was just talking to Gary Schreier. Beautiful man, tremendous. He's done so many good things. I was talking to him. I said, Gary, why don't you triple my salary? Gary said, that's a great idea. That's the best idea I've ever heard. So my salary is going to be getting tripled at OutKick. I'm just announcing that right now. Somehow I have a feeling that that's not going to happen. So maybe we will get cane sugar in our Coca-Cola here in this country. However, Big Corn Syrup is upset, claiming that it's going to cost American jobs. Coca-Cola's been using high fructose corn syrup since 1984 due to rising sugarcane cost. It tastes better, but the corn syrup folks obviously are beside themselves. They didn't see that one coming. I remember back when you'd have a high C when I was a kid. They put high C in our soda machines at Caverna High School back in the 1980s. The school board voted that apparently a policy was implemented by the school board at least. I'd like to hope that there was a vote and it was heard out by everybody, but they removed soft drinks, pop, soda, whatever you prefer to call it, and they put high C in there because I guess it contains 10% fruit juices.
It's a healthy
and they
drink.
were really worried about they were worried about our nutrition. And as I tweeted, 10% fruit juice, 90% diabetes is what you had going on there. 90% high fructose corn syrup, 10% mystery fruit juices. We're not even sure what the fruit juices are. All right, my friends, if you enjoy this kind of content and the kind of fun that we like to have on this show, head over to OutKick.com and sign up for Ricky Cobb's Rewind, our bi-weekly newsletter. All you got to do is go to OutKick.com/newsletters and sign your fine ass up. It's absolutely free. You can unsubscribe at any time. It's your backstage pass to Super 70 Sports and the Ricky Cobb Show. You can unsubscribe, but why would you? That's all I can say.